The president's comments and how Sony should have handled this hack. Let's bring in Representative Sherman. He sits on the Committee of Foreign Affairs and represents California's 30th Congressional District, which includes the homes of CBS and its studios, as well as several movie and television executives. Congressman, thank you for being here. Was this the right decision on Sony's part, first of all, in and of itself? And secondly, what role should the U.S. play when effectively one of our companies is threatened?
Well, I think that exactly what happens Christmas Day is not that important. What's important is that this movie be seen by the American people, that the movie theater owners step forward, that Sony steps forward, that local and national law enforcement step forward, and that we demonstrate to the world that we'll go to see this movie even if it's sophomoric. We're not going to be deprived of seeing what's either a good or a bad movie just because of threats from North Korea.
I want to bring in the panel in just 1 second, Congressman, but how should this movie get to the public? You heard what Sony said. We've privately heard from movie theater executives who said they were told to be quite cautious, that they heard concern from law enforcement officials themselves. So in other words, if there's a public American duty, if you will, to show this film, then what kind of resources should we marshal in order to show this film?
We should marshal the resources necessary so that people feel safe taking their families to see this movie at movie theaters, and then when it's appropriate, we should marshal whatever security is necessary so that cable companies can distribute it. It should reach the public through all the pipes just perhaps a month later than was planned, although you couldn't ask for a more intense publicity campaign before you open up a movie. The key thing is America needs to be free to see this movie. It's the government's role to provide the additional security so people feel safe, and it's the role of these of corporations, not just Sony, but the theaters, to step forward and say this might not be short-term profit maximization, but as patriotic parts of the world, we're going to stand up to this kind of threat, this kind of terrorism.
John Fort.
Who'd have thought that the people to bring Washington together after the midterms would be Seth Rogen and James Franco, or Flacco, depending on it. Yes, yeah. Depending on. But what's interesting here, I think, is that the head of Sony Pictures is coming out only after the president's statement saying we haven't had anybody come out and offer to stream this. Well, normally there would be no offer to stream it this close to a theatrical release. So my question is, have Apple and Google said that they won't do it? Has Sony actually been knocking on that door? Clearly, with these comments from him out now, those conversations are going to take place. Amazon as well, sure.
I'm concerned about this "we don't own the pipes" statement because have you ever heard of the PlayStation Network, Sony? Because you do own some pipes. How about put it out on your own pipes, or are they afraid? Yeah. Right. Are they afraid that if they do this, then it will break the traditional distribution model? Chris?
Look, as I said on this program last time I was here, I think Sony did this whole thing. Nobody would have gone to see this movie.
You think this is staged, this entire thing?
I'm kidding. But the other thing is, so seriously, is that why did the movie theaters say no? They're afraid of security issues. You know, we're out making fun of one of the most irrational dictators in the world, a country, frankly, that shouldn't even be able to get on the internet. We should just cut them off. I don't understand why we allow these people.
Most of them are not on the internet,
no,
though.
But they're obviously hackers
that are on the internet.
It's like
but Chris, what's your point about the movie theaters? That they were making a rational business decision, or
I'd like to know what caused them to say no. Were they afraid?
They were threatened.
Was there a security concern? All right.
Listen,
I think
Congressman, are you aware of a credible threat against these movie theaters, and does that matter for their decision here?
I think they may have responded to the public's concern, not only those people going to see this movie, but their metroplexes, so they don't want to see their entire facility and adversely impacted. But I think when we can calm down, take a deep breath, recognize that North Korea does a lot of things, but they never attack Americans on American soil, especially when they're now deprived of their plausible deniability.
Wait, are you saying they have never, or they would never? What did you just say there about North Korea?
They have never, and I think that they wouldn't, especially if China understands that we hold them responsible for their sponsorship of this rogue regime. So I think that it'll take us a few weeks. We'll need to get organized, but we'll be able to see this movie. We'll be able to get local law enforcement as involved as they need to be, and the fact that they started off calling themselves guardians of peace, and so the North Korean government had plausible deniability. Now the FBI has pointed the clear finger at the Korean government. They don't have plausible deniability. If anything happens in the United States, it is the North Korean government, and that is hitting Americans on American soil. The last outfit that did that was Mr. bin Laden, and he's at the bottom of the Indian Ocean.
And a final point, what are you hearing from your constituents, Congressman, on this?
Not hearing a whole lot. It's the holiday season, and not many people have called my office or sent me an email about this.
Well, they might be concerned about what's in those email messages going forward.
Yeah.
I can guarantee my constituents the North Korean government is not reading the emails that you send to me, and you should feel free to express your opinion.
And you'll be hosting a private screening of the interview in your home on Christmas Day, won't you?
I think that Sony should make it available to Congress, and I think we would want to screen it right there in the Rayburn building across the street from the Capitol. And I think that's a good idea.
There's an idea tabled by our congressman friend who joins us now for Sony now to respond to. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon.
Thank you.